8:36. It is a Monday afternoon. It's actually a nice, bright, sunshiny Monday afternoon. Pretty nice day after the miserable weekend we had. You know what? If you have some issues with anxiety, depression, phobias, and I think a lot of people, I'm always finding out about people who have phobias all the time, which is amazing to me. But you know what? It's one of those things like my mom, for example, will not go in an elevator unless there's someone with her. But now, you know, my mom was Holocaust survivor and has other issues, but it's still a phobia. It's just like some people won't fly. You know, remember John Madden, NFL guy, would never fly. He would take a bus if you have to go cross country. He could not fly. Well, there's good news because you can overcome that anxiety and depression and phobia as well. There's an event coming up tomorrow out on the West Island. Sandra Reish is here. She's clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression. So, Sandra, first of all, what kind of an event is this and who should be going?
Well, first of all, nice to meet you, Aaron. This event is really for everybody. The event is called Don't Let Fear Get in Your Way. I mean, what you said about your mom, she's getting somebody to go in the elevator with her. It's working for her, but actually this could be solved, this problem. So people have all sorts of fears, big and or small, and it makes no difference. Anyone could benefit from making their life with more freedom and more ability to do anything they want to do if they start to do some work towards that. And we wanted to open up an event to make it accessible for everyone at a price point that everyone can afford. So we have a special night with a top therapist giving very experiential techniques that people can walk away with that night on how to overcome those kinds of fears, anxiety, and phobias, as you well said. The thing that's important that you also well said is that these problems don't go away on their own, whereas they're extremely treatable.
All right, so I'm just wondering, for the people who do show up, because there is a dollar, I mean, there's a price attached to this. It's not just to come and hear a lecture. There's practical information that will be offered?
Oh, absolutely. We have videos, we have experiential, and that's one of the things we're very proud of, is people are going to walk away that night with tips and strategies on how to make those changes in their life. Okay, and
how does the evening work exactly? Because I know you have someone else who's going to be down there as well, right?
Yes.
I'm talking of Georgia Dow.
My team, who I affectionately call the Dream Team because I handpicked them, specialists in anxiety, and anxiety really does require specialists. So I have one of my top therapists speaking. Her name is Georgia Dow. So she's going to be leading the talk and talking to the group about what happens in the brain when you're anxious, what happens when your mom's going in that elevator, what's really going on there, and ways to get out of that, because as we now know, the brain is not hardwired, so we can make incredible changes.
All right. Now, it just seems a bit of a wide-ranging, area, though, when you talk about anxiety, depression, and phobias, because they don't all seem related. So how do you treat them differently?
Well, we're not really going to be talking about depression, although, to be fair, depression is the first cousin of anxiety. They are related, but we're not going to be going into that so much. We're going to be going into anxiety, phobias, and fears, because there's one key characteristic to these three things, which is that people avoid what they're afraid of. And avoidance is the friend of anxiety. The more you avoid things, the worse it's going to get. So we're going to be really explaining how that works and how actually moving towards what you're afraid of and how to do that can be life-changing. I mean, people have fears about things that are actually blocking them from having the life of their dreams. We want people to feel that they can have that life that they've dreamt of.
I understand as well, if you're a health practitioner, for example, you might want to come to this thing as well, because you may deal with people and get some new information as to how to do it by just attending as well.
Yes, we have cutting-edge strategies that are like hot off the press, like the latest stuff on how to deal with anxiety.
Can you give me an idea of what that would be? Like, what would one of those things be, or how is it different now from what it's been before when you say cutting edge?
Well, we are really big now into something called neuroplasticity, which I just mentioned before about the brain not being hardwired. We used to believe for years that the brain was hardwired, so you'd hear people say, that's just the way I am, there's nothing I can do about that. Well, we know now that we can actually change the way neurons fire in the brain by repetition and thoughts and the way we talk to ourselves. So if we can teach people how to actually apply that, and all it takes is a little bit of work during the day, either some self-talk, some breathing strategies, and going towards what you're afraid of in a very manageable way, your brain actually, this is very exciting, your brain actually will change. It will change. So your brain changes, therefore, if your brain changes, your life will change. Whereas if you keep going in the elevator, if you keep bringing that person, for example, I mean, I can understand that. We all do those kinds of things. But unfortunately, the brain keeps getting the same message that the situation is dangerous. And the situation, we'd want to teach your mother that the elevator is not dangerous. Of course, that would take some time, but we can get something like that moving pretty quickly if we start to explain the scientific research on that.
So I'm curious, how long do, and I realize everyone's different, but on average, if someone wants to actually make the effort and try to turn a behavior around, a phobia around, how long a process is this?
You know, Aaron, it's really, like you said, everyone's different, but it's incredibly quick. It's surprising. There's anxiety treatment. If we're talking about therapy now, the protocol says it's 10 to 15 sessions with a standard deviation of 5. So some people do it in 5, some people do it in 20. But when you're talking about like a phobia, it's incredibly fast as long as the person's ready to look at it. We don't believe in exposing someone to a phobia in an extremely scary way. So that's another thing about tomorrow night's event. And in general, what our center does is to do it in a very empowering way at the pace of the client. But I'll tell you, men, for example, move very quickly on this stuff for some reason. We believe maybe they want to get out of this therapy thing quicker than women do. But they tend to do it in less than 5 sessions.
All right. First of all, let's find out where this is happening, what time, and how all the details involved.
My pleasure. It's at the Brunswick Medical Center tomorrow night. That's Tuesday night, May 28th, on the 3rd floor in the conference room. We've priced it at $67. It's a 2-hour workshop. We're going to have, as I said, videos. It's going to be a TED Talk type of formula. Everybody's going to get a chance to sort of really walk away with what they need to do to take that first step to conquer whatever fear is blocking their life. And there are so many, and a lot of people hesitate with these events because they think their fear is too small. There is no fear too small or too great to deal with. And if you have a loved one or, like you said, a health practitioner dealing with someone that doesn't know how to direct them, we can certainly help with that.
All right, so more info available by phone, by internet? How should you get more detail?
Yes, they can reach us at 2 numbers, 514-777-4530 or 514-796-4357. And, of course, on the website, which is helpforanxietydepression.com.
Helpforanxietydepression.com. We have someone on. You want to answer a question? Can you take one call?
Oh, I would love that.
Bob's calling from his car right now. Bob, you have an issue with your wife. Does she have a phobia for something?
Over a period of years, we have a boat where we go all away for weekends, and she's becoming increasingly fearful of anchoring out to the point where she can be physically ill to her stomach and not practically stay up all night for fear that the boat's going to sink, it's going to drift away, or something like that.
Okay.
And it's really ruining the fun that she used to have. Is this
so she used to be okay with it, but now she's no longer okay with it?
Yeah, it's got progressively worse over the years. It actually started when our children were born. I guess she was fearful for the children, and just continued as our kids grew older.
Sandra, something you can, I guess you'd advise to show for tomorrow.
Well, this is such a great example, actually, because she was fine, and then there's been a thought that went in her head of, a realistic thought, much like your mom, it's a realistic thought also, is there's always like this issue of danger and control, because life is so full of out-of-control situations, like your mom went through. Same situation with this boat. I think I heard of boats. It's a boat, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she has a thought in her head. So the question now is she going on the boat or is she avoiding the boat?
Actually, she's only coming once every second week now.
Okay, well, that's right away there's a strategy there, because the less she goes, the more the fear is going to increase. So we don't want to do that. We want to really anxiety is really fear of the fear. So the more we avoid it, the more the anxiety will increase. Whereas if we gently and help her with some of these strategies, which, yes, she will learn tomorrow night, this will become a thing of the past very quickly.
All right, Bob, thank you for the... Yeah, go ahead.
Tomorrow night, is there another time? Because she works in the evenings.
Absolutely. Give us a call. We have all sorts of things going on.
All right, Bob, that number, by the way, Bob, is 777-4530, or their website is helpforanxietydepression.com. If you want to get some details there, I'm sure they can help you out. Thank you, Bob. All right. Sandra, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice talking to you. Sandra Reish, Clinical Director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression. Their big evening coming up tomorrow night to help you with your phobias or your anxiety, and actually get some practical solutions for these problems as well. And again, if you want to get some more info, you can call them directly at 777-4530, and that is tomorrow evening, happening out on the West Island.